back, brother. It's episode 19 of the Single Barrel Sports Podcast. My name is the Macho Man. Just kidding. It's Deeb. What's going on? Single Barrel Sports. And
what's up, people? It's Scotty.
Let's do this.
Welcome back to the Single Barrel Sports Podcast. Watch some college football. Have a couple beers, couple bourbons. Nah, he's the GOAT. There's no debating that.
Will not be nearly as good as the hype.
Welcome back to the Single Barrel Sports Podcast. This is episode 19, and we got another big feature event tonight. We had a big episode last week with the Masters, and another major sporting event is going on this weekend with Wrestlemania. You might have noticed the championship belt. We're going for the championship with this podcast. We do have some special guests tonight. You heard from Deeb. Let me introduce some others here. We got with us tonight Stormy. Stormy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what your interests are, and then we'll go from there.
Hey guys, my name is Stormy, also known as Jason Stormy in most social medias. Been a wrestling fan since I can really remember, like maybe I was like 4 years old. So my dad was always a fan of it, so I get really all my nostalgia from him, and he passed it on and watched all the pay-per-views together. So growing up, like especially in the Attitude Era, like that's where I really came into wrestling. But I love wrestling, been a big fan of it. It's where most of my X or Twitter followers come from. So that's usually where you'll find me talking about wrestling. But big fan of it. Besides like RPGs and other sci-fi and like nerdy stuff. But yeah, wrestling's always been a big part of my life. Watching as a fan, and I got to go to a lot of events. So I love going to events and buying cool things like this. Mr. Champ,
nice.
So,
Oh yeah.
when your belt, wear my belts.
Yeah. Yours is nicer than mine, man. Mine's for children,
A little bit.
and yours is the top dog belt right there. Hell yeah.
Yeah, a little more authentic, but yeah, it's not as plasticky.
Hell yeah. Well, and we also know Stormy from Twitch streaming. He's part of a community called Team Meat that we've been a part of, and we go way back many years now. And again, if you want to join the conversation, his X or his Twitter username is @JSMStormy. But we got another guest with us tonight. Happy to introduce now, and that is Sensei. Sensei, tell us about yourself and what you're all about.
Well, like you said, my name's Sensei. So I'm the same way. I grew up in the Attitude Era. I started out watching it with my grandma, who used to rock me to sleep in her recliner watching WCW.
Aww.
Like those are my earliest memories of watching wrestling, and so it's kind of a thing that's just like stuck to me. And I took a break from watching it. The 2010s kind of drew me away, and then I started getting back into it. I'm not really active on social like Stormy is, but I do try to keep up to date with some of the news going around with some of the wrestlers.
Yeah, well, it's awesome to have both of you guys here. I know that I'd speak with each of you kind of privately about wrestling things going on, and it's a big way that we keep in touch now that we aren't. I know, Storm, you still stream a lot more than the rest of us, but without us having kind of that Twitch streaming thing, wrestling has been a good way for us all to stay connected. And so, easy choice when we were talking about having some special guests on here tonight to talk wrestling and Wrestlemania. You guys are right there at the top of the list in our thoughts. So, Deeb, tell me what your experience is with wrestling, and then I'll kind of share mine, because I know you're not a current watcher, but tell us maybe what extent of your wrestling knowledge is, and if you did watch in the past.
Yeah, no, excited to have you both on, and thank you both for joining. I know we kind of go back a little bit to streaming days and such, but we have three experts here about wrestling, so I'm more of the moderator and kind of can share some of the history. But yeah, wrestling for me, similar to what you've already heard, comes from just enjoying watching it with my dad. Back in the day, back in the 90s and early 2000s, I don't know, it was just something we used to throw on. My uncle was super into it. He would get like high blood pressure from watching, and he thought it was like the coolest thing ever. He was super into it whenever we would go over to his house. So that's really, I think, was the prime time for me, was like 90s, 2000s. I think when wrestling was, I think some people could say arguably the best era, craziest era. A lot of interesting things happen.
Wild era, yeah. I don't know if that would pass nowadays standards, but
yeah, there were some definitely questionable decisions back then, but at the time, that's what entertainment was, and it wasn't just wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Cool. Well, I'll just share a little bit. I'll be brief here, but I got into it similar to you guys. It was a family thing for me growing up. My brother is 10 years older than me. And so he kind of got me into watching wrestling, and he would have his buddies over for the big pay-per-view events on Sunday nights. And I would try and talk my mom into letting me stay up and watch it with him and all his friends. And that was kind of what got me into it. I got in trouble many times because I would repeat the things that I saw on TV. So I remember the first time, I think I was only like 8 years old, and I was playing video games in the living room and just randomly decided to quote The Undertaker. And I was just like, burn in hell. And I hear my mom from the other room like, excuse me. And then this is a really funny story. But one time we were eating dinner, and I had heard something at school. So I had to go tell my brother, and I didn't know what it meant. But I was like, hey, Rob, did you know that that Britney Spears is one of the Godfather's hoes? So that one got me grounded. I didn't get to watch it for like a month after that.
Oh no.
Deserved.
Oh, that's definitely classic.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a part of my life off and on for my whole life. Like you, I didn't really watch much in the 2010s, but I hopped back on the train in 2022 and haven't really missed a single episode since then of Raw and SmackDown. So very excited to talk about this tonight. It's a big pivot from our usual content. Some people would say this is not a sport. I think there's a lot of sports aspects to it, even though it is scripted. And it seems like we do have a bit of following that's interested in this. So we certainly wanted to highlight this as it is a big event this week. But Deeb, I'm going to kick it back to you. Before we dive in today, why don't you kind of just share our socials and where people can find our content and maybe what they can expect to see there?
Yeah, for sure. So welcome in if you're new and if you're returning. Hopefully this is a little different for you and you learned something, and we can give you some entertainment. But we always love to encourage people, if you're out there, to subscribe or follow. We're found at singlebarrelsports.com. That's where you're going to find all of our social media. So wherever you like to enjoy your content, we are probably going to be there. YouTube and Spotify is going to be the main two where you find the full links. And we also post clips to a lot of the other ones. We're trying to hit our goal of 200 subscribers on YouTube. So we're at like the almost 130 range. So, if you could leave us a subscribe or a follow, we'd appreciate it. And just interact with us. We love to hear the comments. I know the last week, the Masters episode, we got a lot of interaction. So hoping to get all the wrestling fans and those who may be interested out there to comment and engage with us.
Yep. And we are a mixed bag. We say that we cover all sports, but really we try and focus on the big events that are happening. And so this one couldn't be ignored this week. So that's what we're talking about tonight. Super pumped to talk about something different. And let's dive in. What's our sports term of the week, Deeb?
Yeah, so this is a continued segment that we like to do where we just give a term that people may not be familiar with, or maybe some are, but the term of the week for this week is heel or face, aka baby face. So tell us what both of those mean. I'll actually open this up to whoever wants to take this one.
Well, this is for us, like heel, like is a villain, but like it comes from being stubborn as a heel. So that's what the term like heel comes from. So that's where the bad guys usually is the antagonist.
And then what's the baby face?
Basically, the babyface is just the opposite. He's the good guy. He's the star. I mean, he's who the company or whoever they want the crowd to cheer for him, and they're behind them the whole way. Basically, think of it on a comic book level. It's the hero versus the villain. That's basically how it is.
That's a formula that's lasted the test of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter what changes they make, the best ratings almost always come from good versus bad. And we see that in all forms of entertainment. Think about watching movies, for example. And so I have a question for you guys, and I'll kind of direct this to Stormy first. But whenever you're watching wrestling, do you find yourself kind of rooting for the heel or the face? Are you kind of a good guy or bad guy enthusiast?
Growing up, it's always for the good guy, honestly. But as you get older, I don't know, cynical, you kind of do like the bad guys. You're like, I don't care about like the good and bad. I was like, this guy's really more over. He's put more of an effort. So I go more like on skill and talent at that point. Even if they're bad or good, I'm like, all right, I'm rooting this guy to win. Even though I think I should, in my morals, be rooting for the good guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, as a like admirer of the sport and the athleticism, yeah, as you get older, I just root for like based on skill.
Hell yeah.
The complete wrestler.
What about you, Sensei? What are your thoughts?
So I'm basically the same way, but it's like whichever one really draws me in and is telling that story. Because I mean, even the heel can tell a really good story. I mean, for example,
Mhm.
Roman Reigns, really good heel. The whole time he was a heel, really good story. And then you get someone like John Cena, the perfect face until recently. But I mean, so it's like whoever's putting on that story and can draw you in. So I mean, you can still cheer for the heel. So I mean, it can go either way.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things that I've learned as I became an adult watching wrestling is that heels want to be booed. Like, it's a sign that you're doing your job well. Like you're being a good
Mhm.
bad guy if you're getting a lot of heat, as they call it, right? Like if you're hearing lots of boos or negative kind of crowd interaction. And
Yeah.
so that really changed my appreciation for the ways that some people do this. Like Dominic Mysterio, he gets so much heat. And that just means he's doing that well. It's people love to hate him, which means he's a
Mhm.
great heel.
Exactly. I think a lot of the greats will tell you, as long as you're making a reaction, you're making a noise, you're doing a good job. But there is such thing as go away heat, where they're doing like sometimes Logan Paul might get that go away heat, or other people, but he's putting a real good effort into it. So I think there is some general heat towards him, like as a performer, like he's putting an effort in.
And
They
it's
are,
go away heat. Is that like where the fans like literally want them to go away? Like they're
yeah,
booing them because they
exactly.
don't want them to be there?
They're like almost like booing them out, yeah. But the worst thing a wrestler can hear is nothing. So as long as you're getting a reaction, you're good.
Yeah. Well,
See, one of the most confusing heels is Carlito. Hey, he's a heel, but everyone cheers for him. Everyone loves him.
he's a
So it's
goofball,
like,
right?
yeah,
Yeah. Love it. Okay. Well, that's our term of the week here. Before we dive full fledged into the wrestling, I just want to quickly acknowledge the recap of our episode from last week with the Masters Golf Tournament. Deeb, I'm just going to let you handle this recap. It doesn't need to be super lengthy, and you can explain why, but I at least want to acknowledge it here on the episode.
Yeah, so we're gonna actually put out a separate video. It's gonna be about like 20 minutes long, with Andrew, the guest that we had last week, where we do the full recap. But just for anybody out there, Rory McIlroy ended up finally winning the Grand Slam, so completing all of the majors in his career. It's been a long time coming, and he went to the playoff with Justin Rose, and basically came down to the wire and was really an awesome finish. So if you're interested in that, check out the video that we released and you'll hear more of our thoughts there.
Yeah, it was a very dramatic finish. So yeah, please check that out if you guys have any interest at all. But we won't spoil anything. We're gonna dive into some wrestling stuff now. And I think maybe the best way to talk about WrestleMania as an event is to just go way back to the roots, right? Like we can kind of spend some time maybe talking about, where it came from, what the significance of it was, and just go over some big stats and relevance of the concept of WrestleMania.
Okay.
So, first and foremost, WrestleMania was founded during the time when Vince McMahon had taken over the company from his father. We can say what we want about Vince McMahon. I think we could all agree he's a terrible human being, but he is the person who kind of created this event and really kind of launched the whole sports entertainment industry forward to what it is today. He was kind of a groundbreaking individual in that sport. So originally called World Wrestling Federation back then when it was created, had to be changed because of trademarks and with the World Wildlife Foundation. And so that was when it became WWE instead of WWF, which was very challenging for me to understand when I was younger. But actually, WrestleMania debuted all the way back in 1985. And so it's been a while now. And at the time, the company was kind of struggling financially. They had made a lot of moves that were kind of outside of the norm in the wrestling industry. They were ruffling feathers from all of the other companies. As you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe wrestling used to be kind of a regional thing.
Yeah,
And
territories.
yeah, there were territories, and Vince McMahon tried to kind of take over everything and was poaching wrestlers from others. And it was kind of like, if I remember this correctly, like the other promotions all started to kind of gang up against Vince McMahon to try and slow his progress down.
Originally his dad controlled the New York region, like the upper, like the Northeast. But when Vince took over, that was true. He actually started preying on like the small regions that were financially dying, and he bought them out.
Mm-hmm. So it's
So
kind of growth by acquisition model that we hear in actual like business even today still. Um, WrestleMania was his chance to try and create something mainstream, right? Like it was trying to take it from what it was and take it to the next level. And so it was March 31st, 1985. They hosted it in Madison Square Garden, which was a very historic venue.
Mhm.
And the main event that night, and you guys, anyone listening will recognize some of these names. The main event that night was Hulk Hogan and Mr. T versus Rowdy Piper and Mr. Wonderful. Um, Hulk Hogan became an overnight success. He was a household name after this event. But there were some celebrities that they brought in too. And this was kind of the genius of the planning with this event. At the time, wrestling was really just kind of a brute, like manly brute sport where, it was like drunk dudes on steroids or people high on drugs and stuff. And so what the genius of this was is they brought in celebrities to try and hit the mainstream, to try and hit pop culture. And so they brought in big names like Muhammad Ali was serving as a special guest referee for one of the matches. And Cyndi Lauper, a singer at that time, was actually involved directly in one of the storylines. So, they tried to mix kind of pop culture with this whole wrestling concept back then. What are you guys' thoughts on that? I mean, that was unique. That was novel at the time to kind of go outside of your normal routines and do something different like that.
And the thing with that is, I mean, if you think about it, without those names coming in, do you think it would have took off how it did? I mean, it really wasn't a big ordeal, but you bring in someone like Muhammad Ali. So you're bringing in someone from another sport that people know and love. People are going to tune in to see that. And same with Cyndi Lauper. I mean, how popular she was. You're going to get eyes on your brand and it's kind of going to grow. And now people are seeing there's some entertainment here.
Yeah. Storm, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's been like ever since the beginning. That was kind of the way they set themselves apart by bringing in the pop cultural relevance, and now you can talk about it like outside the water cooler and outside of like these little niches. So now, casual fans might be talking about it. Hey, see what Cyndi Lauper did on like MTV, and then she brought in like the women's wrestling to the center stage. I think she was going with like Mae Young, and she was like she was manager or somebody that year. But yeah, it's really great when you see like the wrestlers and the pop stars able to integrate that, and you see that like throughout the WrestleMania, even until now, and a lot of them do impress you with like the level of commitment because they're actually wrestling fans themselves.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some huge names. Lil Wayne came out and introduced, I think, Jey Uso a couple of years ago. We got Travis Scott as kind of a regular appearance now with WWE. Bad Bunny, who actually he wrestled in many matches.
Snooki, we had Snooki that one year.
Yeah. Rob Gronkowski was a part of WrestleMania. Now, like, that was sad.
And back to Bad Bunny, not only did he wrestle matches, but he wrestled some good matches, in my opinion. I mean, they were pretty entertaining.
Probably by far the best celebrity matches I've ever seen.
It's level of commitment. Like you see, you see it behind the stage stuff. Like he's actually putting the level of commitment into the training and how it goes. Some people just kind of like wing it, and it looks like awkward when they bump.
Yeah. Well, speaking of celebrities, last year or 2 years ago, we had, I can't not mention this, but Snoop Dogg came out. He was going to be a co-host of the event. And we may touch on this later, but Shane McMahon was involved in this match and he tore something in his leg. And there was just this awkward pause. So Snoop Dogg injected himself into the match and became, part of the wrestling card that day, which, just you never know what to expect. And we'll get into that in a little bit about WrestleMania, but there's always going to be some pop culture influence and kind of woven throughout. But this was really inspired. Vince McMahon wanted to create something like the NFL had with their Super Bowl, right? Like he wanted a big event that they could host that would draw in massive amounts of people, generate lots of revenue. And they had a rival organization that was already doing this. I actually didn't know this until I did a little research, but I think it's the National Wrestling Association, the NWA, if I recall. Mm-hmm. They had an event called Starrcade that was kind of like their big annual event. So it wasn't the first of its kind, but it was kind of like the biggest and best of its kind, and it still lives on to that today. But this was majorly significant, right? It was a huge gamble where if this failed, the company would have gone under. Vince McMahon put all the money that the company had into this, and if it didn't succeed, they would have gone bankrupt, and we would not have the WWE that we have today. So It's kind of crazy. We're approaching WrestleMania 41 this weekend. And we go back 40 years, and if that flopped, that we wouldn't have had any of those years. So kind of crazy to think about. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, Go ahead, Sensei.
I was just going to say, yeah, you're right. I mean, if that flopped, who knows what we would have now? I mean, would we have not only the WWE but all the other different shows that we have now, AEW, TNA?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where would those companies be? Would they have taken off? I mean, people may not have tuned in to watch it because of that.
Yeah, I definitely believe that wrestling has bled into the mainstream where it's almost people like recognize it as like legitimacy because they're so interested in the sport of it all. So it's so much predetermined. The actions, the athleticism is very real, and it really does give them some credibility. I believe, even though it is scripted, and we know the endings of these matches. It's the stories that they're telling in between the moves. It really matters.
Yeah, and I will say some of the storytelling is so compelling and so interesting, and so they've really found a way to master the athletic soap opera, if you will.
Very soap opera. That's actually where Vince got a lot of his ideas in the beginning. He watched soap operas.
I actually didn't know that. That's funny. I'm not surprised though.
And Scott, the one thing I was going to add too was I actually learned a lot of this history from watching that Mr. McMahon documentary on Netflix. It kind of like takes you through some of the details, the behind the scenes, etc. So if anyone is interested, even if you're not a wrestling fan, I thought it was a really done documentary, and it gives you like a lot of the in depth of where did it come from, where like how did he build it, and etc.
Yeah. Go ahead, Storm.
It's especially the respect towards Vince. He's a terrible person. He put his respect into like he was an announcer and was doing like the bare all the jobs before he became. He paid his dad like $1 million for the company or something like that. So he really put in the work and really wanted to establish himself from the very bottom, doing every job he could.
Yeah, and I think the documentary really highlights what a psychopath he was, but that psychopathy nature is what drove him to be very successful in many ways as well. So it's
sociopath.
It's definitely, a sociopath for sure, but also a guy that was willing to bet on himself and take massive risks and to be cutthroat in the industry to ensure success. And I'm not saying that as like I'm praising him, but it gives you insight, and it kind of it helps you to understand why he is the way that he is as well, because of his upbringing and relationships that he had with people close to him. And it helps you to maybe kind of understand why he is such a messed up human being. So yeah, lots of history there. If you're interested, I think it's definitely worth the watch. It's like 6 episodes, I think, on Netflix.
Yeah.
But WrestleMania is basically, it's considered the grandest stage of them all. That's a quote you'll hear all the time. The announcers will say it this weekend. It's their signature event now, and it's considered to be kind of like a season finale, if you will. It's where all major storylines typically will wrap up, and then new stuff will start most of the time. The next, unless you're the Bloodline, and then that kind of ran for several years.
Another year.
Yeah, so it's where storylines can either end or begin, I will say too, because sometimes people will screw other people over, and we'll have a whole next year of that storyline. But it is kind of a season finale of sorts, and it's been hugely successful. It is, WrestleMania is now broadcast in over 180 countries worldwide. And the company, WWE, now that they're on Netflix, is available in any country in the world because of that big Netflix deal. So they've really grown. But WrestleMania is a major source of their income, just like it was for that very first one. They get a ton of money from ticket sales and merchandise and streaming and everything else in between. And just like we see with like the World Cup, the cities that host it, they gain a big kind of tourism boost. So it kind of boosts the economy in these cities that host it as well. And again, we've got the 2-night format going on now. So it's become such a big event that they had to kind of split it between 2 different nights. I want to talk about, though, some of the notable things, right? Let's go into some records, some statistics. Storm, tell me about, and I've shared these things with you guys. Tell me about the first one here. Talk about The Undertaker and some of his significance with WrestleMania.
Well, a lot of people have made different legacies throughout WrestleMania. Undertaker's legacy is different, whereas longevity of almost 21-1 wins in a row. The streak wasn't even notable until halfway through, until people started noticing, well, he hasn't lost yet. We've actually booked him to win every WrestleMania after 11 or so, and then over time it became the stigma of the thing, hey, I want to challenge the streak. So that's one of the amazing things. I think he actually went to his ending streak at WrestleMania was one of the most impressive at like 25-2.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's officially retired. We will not see him again wrestle. So that's still like I don't know if we'll ever see anyone with that kind of like trait or that kind of record in wrestling history.
Yeah, 21-0. It just creates, like you said, a stigma, a mythology, if you will, of like who's going to beat him and how big is that moment going to be. And they had Brock Lesnar be the one who beat him for the first time, which there's a lot of mixed emotions about that. A lot of people don't really think he should have been the one.
Significance, but it did push him for the next 3-4 years. It gave him legitimacy, so they didn't waste the win.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then the next loss, the only other loss he had was then to Roman Reigns, who then went on a huge streak of kind of dominating for damn near 4 years of being a champion. So they definitely made those losses count for elevating other stars. And I'm just going to rapid fire some of this. The most losses of all time at WrestleMania was Triple H, actually, the guy who's now in charge of it. He's lost 13 times. He's known for kind of putting over other talent at WrestleMania. I think he's had 23 total matches and he's lost 13 of them. And he's one of the biggest stars of the Attitude Era. So that's pretty impressive to lose that many times. This year, Roman Reigns will now main event his 10th time at WrestleMania. So he's leading in main events. That became a little bit easier since they've now added the two-night format. For example, last year he main evented both the Saturday night and the Sunday night. So he got 2 in 1 year. Wow. That's still a very impressive statistic, though, I think. And he's only main eventing once this year, so it's a little bit more legitimate.
That we know of.
Well, that's true. I guess you really never know.
I mean,
Rock comes out all of a sudden.
Yeah. Longest match at WrestleMania was Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart. It was 1 hour and 1 minute and 56 seconds. And the shortest match was The Rock versus Eric Rowan, where The Rock beat him in 6 seconds. Yep. He came out, hit the rock bottom, and pinned him, and it was over.
I'm not sure why that even happened.
Yeah, that seems kind of silly, and not really that important to storylines, but they don't always hit with their decisions. Some traditions that matter here. Sensei, why don't you talk about like going all out? Like what are some things that are different about WrestleMania whenever we see, people kind of coming out to the ring or their actual performances?
I mean, to me, I feel like you see some of the entrances people do, hands down, some of the best things you ever see. I mean, live bands, live orchestras. And then when it comes to the ring, I feel you see everyone's best when they're at WrestleMania. Yeah, everyone knows it's scripted and stuff like that, but it's like they go harder. They perform harder. They do the big spots. It's like they save everything for that match. It leads up to that, and that they want their moment.
Yeah. Storm, anything else to add about kind of how they go all out? Any thoughts you had that he didn't say?
No, he said it all like there. It's kind of the one where you want to go out. If you're gonna get hurt, might as well get hurt on the biggest show of them all. So they'll usually say the biggest moves, their best clothes, or anything they have for that day, anything they saved up.
Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, I appreciate what WrestleMania has really become. So it's such a significant event. It's like almost like the Super Bowl for them, where it really just bring in a lot for the city and for everything else. So WrestleMania does really go all out for not only the day, but now the whole entire weekend.
Yeah. Now, Deeb, I know you don't watch a lot now, but you have watched wrestling before. What are your overall thoughts on how people kind of go all out and just like the event structure in general of WrestleMania?
Yeah, I mean, I think you stated it best when you said it is really like their Super Bowl. It's the biggest event of the year. So I always thought it was super cool when there was always like, and I don't know if this is still how it is, but there would always seem to be like a twist or a few twists that would happen. And that's where I feel like, that like going all out part comes into it is something weird is going to happen. Everyone's always kind of like on edge. You never know like who's going to make an appearance. Is it like not probably more modernly now, like a historic guy, etc. So that's where I think that going all out's really cool because you really sometimes don't know what the hell's going to happen. And that's why I think people really enjoy the event too, is like that suspense.
Yeah, and what you're alluding to and what Sensei already mentioned is kind of like the big like WrestleMania moments that we've already talked about a little bit here. And those can range from many things like a surprise debut, maybe someone who's kind of known but hasn't been like participating in WWE, or a big return, whether from injury or just kind of an absence. We've seen retirement matches at WrestleMania. Like I think that's where Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels had that retirement match that was supposed to retire Ric Flair,
His
but
his first retirement.
yeah,
It was supposed to, but I mean, it was still, I mean, it was a heartfelt moment. I mean, it really was. And even though Rick did come back, I mean, but it's still in that moment, like it hit.
He retired from WWE.
yeah, we'll call it that. Yep.
Scott, I actually have a random question.
Yeah, please.
So I know in this section you're kind of talking a little bit too about the gear. You know, people kind of have special gear, and I know that they sell a lot of merchandise. But I just looked this up, so I'm kind of curious to see if you guys know the answer to this. So kind of a trivia, but someone more recently sold, it looks like, over $1 million in merchandise throughout WrestleMania weekend. Do you guys have a guess of who you think that would be in a recent WrestleMania?
I mean, my guess would be Roman Reigns, but
My guess would be Cody Rhodes.
yeah, it's got to be one of those two, I would think.
See, that's who I was going between both of those, but at the same time, could it have been Stone Cold on his return match with Kevin Owens?
Oh yeah, that was only a few years ago.
Really good, yeah. Very
So
possible.
the source, this is from a year ago. It says Cody Rhodes
Okay,
was
yep.
the wrestler who sold over 1 million in merch, which is crazy.
I bought one of those shirts, so I'm part of that. I'm part of that statistic.
Wow.
I went to a random Raw episode like right before WrestleMania 2 years ago.
See, I knew Stone Cold kind of be a reach, but with that return and with it being it was in Dallas, I was like, oh, yeah, maybe.
The Texas Rattlesnake. That's another fun
Yeah.
thing is all the nicknames and terminology that exist in wrestling.
Yeah.
But one thing we kind of mentioned a little bit is the season finale aspect of WrestleMania, which lends itself to something that's not really a part of the event itself, but is a very notable night. And it's called Raw After Mania. So if you guys don't really watch wrestling and you're listening, every Monday night they have what they call Monday Night Raw. It's now on Netflix, and you can watch it. If it's already over and you start watching it actually just buffers right through all of the advertisements. You don't got to watch any of them, which is really cool. But the Raw After Mania is very well known because it's a fresh start for storylines. There's a lot of kind of random occurrences. So it might be, different returns from people who've been gone, or call ups from NXT, which is kind of their, for lack of better words, like their minor leagues. A lot of things can kind of happen, and there's a lot of energy around the Raw After Mania, and the wrestlers all know that, right? Like they know that the stakes are there and the people are expecting a nice performance that first night after WrestleMania. So not a part of the event itself, but definitely important to, the success of WrestleMania to kind of start off on a good foot moving forward from it. But, go ahead. I heard somebody.
I would say, yeah, it's usually the start of the season, and they'll usually bring like a lot of the reoccurring storylines. They'll usually peak the ratings around then. You'll see dramatically if they go up or down from there, depending on the interest level.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. Like the success of that single night can really change or alter their success moving forward for the short term after that.
Yeah, for the next 2 or 3 months, this is the direction. Do you really want to be that invested? So hopefully they'll be able to capture you.
But I want to go back to WrestleMania moments here, and I'll ask you guys, and Sensei, I'll start with you. What is your favorite WrestleMania moment that you've experienced?
Okay, so I actually have 3, so I'll hit them quick. One's WrestleMania 22, Ray winning the title. Right after Eddie. I mean, that was not only is he one of my favorite wrestlers, but I mean that moment again, heartfelt. It's it's his first title, just lost his best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Second one, and will always be the first WrestleMania moment I will remember. Edge spearing Jeff Hardy off of the belt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was off the belt in the ladder match. Was that WrestleMania 17? And then the other one, it's kind of a one-off, and it's Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville. The only reason, the creativeness behind it, and it shows the talent Sami actually has to take a match it's a gimmick, it's a joke, and make it actually an entertaining match. I feel like it. I mean, that's a moment. That's a big moment.
Yeah. Storm, what about you?
He mentioned some very significant ones involving celebrities and whatnot. Yeah, my ones also would mirror his would be WrestleMania 17 with the TLC match. I don't know if that was the first one, but it was definitely the most significant one that I remember that really captured me as wrestling. With the Dudleys, the Hardys, and Edge and Christian, they had multiple occurrences, but that one was really the most notable one with the Edge versus Edge spearing off Jeff Hardy off the ladder. So I'll put that as one as well. Fast forward a little bit more to WrestleMania 30 with Daniel Bryan, where like he wasn't the slotted winner, but he was the people's champion, the one that the fans overtook, and they actually like use that as like storyline eventually, where they had the fans enter the ring and occupy the ring until he got a title shot. So I was a really big fan of that. How organically like he was not the choice for that year. It was Batista, and Batista won that year. So I like that. No matter what, they gave the fans a happy moment. And last one would be WrestleMania 35, because I was there. It was over in New York, and I saw Kofi Mania. So I got to see another like almost like Daniel Bryan moment where the fans really were pushing for this guy to win the championship, and after so long, they gave it to Kofi.
Nice. That's awesome. My WrestleMania moment was going to be the TLC match at WrestleMania 17 as well. So we're all three on board with that. But I'll shake it up a bit. And I think the one I'm going to do is then actually at WrestleMania 18. And it was when Hogan and The Rock fought each other. And I just remember as a kid, the build up for that was so huge. It was kind of like Hogan finally came back to the WWE after being gone. The Rock was the biggest star at the time, and it was like an icon versus icon match where they didn't know like who the fans were even going to cheer for. And it was a big like passing of the guard because The Rock ended up beating Hogan. So I remember that was a huge thing because I had no clue what to expect when I watched that.
The big face off that they had.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's still another, it wasn't at Mania, but I mean, it was an iconic moment leading into Mania. I mean, it's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we're going to move forward here. Deeb, talk about the halftime pour.
Can I give you mine real quick?
Oh, please do. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to exclude you.
No, you're good. So I had two in mind. The one that I think was like the most interesting was the very first time Stone Cold and The Rock faced off. So I feel like that was like just a crazy iconic one. But this one's probably not as popular. But for me, I don't even remember how old I was. In 2004, I think it was WrestleMania 20. When they had Goldberg and Brock Lesnar face each other, like I know that this is a controversial one, but at that time, like just those two guys were just beasts, both of them. And it was just seeing like both of them face each other at that WrestleMania was just crazy. Regardless of what happened, got a lot of controversy of who won or whatever, but I just feel like that was something I'll never forget. Just like two giant men who were just like crazy, like just, I don't know. It was just something I'll never forget.
Yeah, man. And I think you and Big E would enjoy the same matches, like two beefy guys just bumping meat.
That's what he said. Yeah, bumping meat. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Well, we can move into the halftime pour, which is basically like our general way of enjoying a drink together as people who are hosting a podcast. We like to tell people what we're sipping on for the night. We'll do a cheers, and we'll also do a question of the night. So how about Scott? Do you want to start us off with what you're drinking tonight?
I will. It's one I've done before as usual, but it's the end of it. It's my Woodford Reserve bottle here, and what's in the glass is the left of the last of it. Oh my gosh. So you won't see me drinking again after this is gone, but we killed it tonight in a WrestleMania episode, and no reason to drink it other than it just sounded good tonight.
Time to refill. Stormy, you're up.
Keep it a little more casual, though I would probably be drinking some SoCo if I had it. I'm gonna drinking some White Claw, currently Surge.
The Surge.
Can't see it with lime. Been
Nice.
screen.
And Sensei, what you got tonight?
I'm going simple. I'm going hard with the peach mango sweet tea.
Okay.
Hell yeah, that sounds good.
Keep it mellow.
Hard tea, nice.
And I have one that's returning. It's the Starlight Huber. It's the cigar batch. It's the one that tastes like Cinnamon Toast Crunch because I thought it would be a nice, interesting one for this interesting discussion.
Hell yeah.
But we do have a question of the night, which I will pass it over to. We'll go in reverse order. Sensei, you can start. So part of WrestleMania weekend is the Hall of Fame induction, which is going to happen Friday night. What person, tag team, or faction do you think deserves to be in the Hall of Fame but is not?
I had someone in mind, and I actually made a switch today. And my pick, Natalia. I mean, I know
Ooh.
she's still active, but I mean, not only records for WWE, but Guinness World Records. You know, most women's matches, most matches on Raw, SmackDown. Her accolades. She doesn't have the title records and stuff like that, but just the matches alone. I mean, it's longevity.
Mm-hmm.
And another one, R-Truth. I mean, come on, put the man in.
I love R-Truth.
All right, Stormy, you're up.
Good choice with R-Truth, former NWA champion. I was actually looking up like who isn't like in the Hall of Fame, but I was actually gonna go with William Regal. Like not only 'cause he's been like the longevity, he's also like after that he's still training and he's a big part of NXT. He's off camera role. So, but I'll go with him. And for the girls, I'll probably say Victoria. I thought she's one of my favorite wrestlers as in the 2000s. She really was like a working diva, not just like a pretty diva. So I enjoyed her work, and she definitely helped like elevate women's wrestling along with like other people from that time period that have not been like given like their dues.
Well, mine is going to be a bit of a cop out, and mine is Batista.
Oh,
And there's a reason that I chose him. So the Hall of Fame is part of the WrestleMania weekend. And in 2020, Batista was supposed to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. And COVID hit, and they didn't do a Hall of Fame ceremony. The following year, they inducted all the people in that were supposed to be 2020 Hall of Famers, except for Batista. He didn't get in. So that's mine. It's kind of a fun fact. And I think if I had to go outside of that, again, they're still active, but they're not in the WWE. I would say the Hardy Boys definitely need to be in the Hall of Fame. And they will be, I think, but they're not yet.
oh yeah, for sure.
I know. Sorry.
I was just going to say, if you can fact check me if this is still not true, because I was trying to look up who's not in the Hall of Fame. But the Big Show?
That was another one. Yep. He's
No,
not in yet.
What?
No,
I didn't even think about him.
sometimes they want them to be retired for a little bit, and then they'll induct him. But it kind of ranges on when they'll induct people into the Hall of Fame.
You know what we could say as of today, because it's not Friday yet, it's Triple H. But he's getting inducted this Friday.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame's cool. Unfortunately, it's at 1 a.m. Eastern this Friday. I don't know. I think it's because they're, on the West, they're in Vegas, so time zones are different. And it's going to have to be after SmackDown. But I'm like, dude, really? 1 a.m. Eastern you're showing this? Well, I probably won't be watching that one live.
Yeah, I think they could have penciled in like on Sunday, like before the show, because like I think Saturday's also a long day. Sunday could also be a long day.
True. Yeah.
Saturday also has NXT. If you don't know as well, NXT is going to be early on in the afternoon, leading into at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think that starts at 1 Eastern, right? If I recall.
Yeah, they used to before the 2-night event. NXT was always Saturdays, going on WrestleMania, and then WrestleMania was Sundays.
Yeah, that's rough, but I have watched a little bit of those before, so it's not like it's a complete miss.
Was the Big Show the guy that was I'm thinking of that was in the match where like the whole ring collapsed?
Yeah,
That happened a few times, and usually involved him.
Yeah,
The big boy, 500 pounds.
Except for the one time when Brock Lesnar drove the tractor into the ring, but
Oh yeah, that was wild.
That was a moment.
Again, WrestleMania moment, right? That was at Mania, right?
was it Mania or was it that might have been SummerSlam?
Was it? It might have been. Okay. Either way, just crazy moments at these bigger events. Well, I want to get into some favorites, guys. This is a different segment here, but I want this to be kind of rapid fire. Like, say your pick and just quick thoughts for why. But we can kind of move through this quickly. But I want you to list who your favorite wrestler was when you were young, who your favorite is right now, and then who your favorite is of all time. And Storm, we can start with you.
Are we doing all three right now in a row, or just one at a time?
Yeah, just actually, you know what? Let's start with just younger now. We'll kind of go. We'll take turns.
When I was younger, I'm gonna say the Hardy Boys. I'll say Matt Hardy. Everyone was always a Jeff fan. I always liked underdogs, the people that things that don't like. So I was always a fan of Matt Hardy. So I'll say Matt Hardy was my favorite growing up, just because he was like the second most hottest guy. Like not like that, but like in terms of like popularity, I thought like he didn't get his dues.
That's fair. What do you think, Sensei?
So like I said, Mike's kind of mixed, but I'll go with for younger. I'd say Rey Mysterio.
Okay.
I mean, he's the underdog. He's a small guy. I'm a small guy. I mean, I was like him my whole life. You know, playing with the big boys, couldn't hang is what people said. So I mean, that's why I've grew to Rey, and obviously his abilities.
Hell yeah, I love that. Storm, mine's gonna be the opposite, man. I was the stereotypical Jeff Hardy fan. Just seeing a guy completely sacrifice his body and just throw his safety to the wind for entertainment was just so amazing. When I was that young, it was like, holy! I was the dude in a hotel when we had two beds trying to do the swanton bomb from one bed to the other, like doing all these flips and stuff because Jeff Hardy did it.
Oh my god, yeah, seriously. The trajectory for Jeff Hardy, what could have been if he didn't like go the path of drugs and alcohol. But seriously, it was like John Cena level of popularity back then.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's kind of cool to see is that now that he's like sober, he's actually said that he hopes he can have one more kind of run in the WWE to try and make up for the past. So that would be cool. I think we would all welcome that. But Deeb, what about you? When you were younger, who was your guy?
Well, I already mentioned it, but mine was definitely Goldberg. I just feel like he used to just spear everyone, and I don't know, he spit on everybody when he was crazy. Just a wild guy.
Well, you should watch him versus William Regal. After that match, William Regal got fired because of how out wrestled he was.
Oh, I've heard about that. I don't think I've seen that though.
Legendary.
Storm, who's your current favorite?
Current favorite to watch probably would be Finn Balor.
Okay.
I think he's really good. One of those 10-year guys. I think he should be on like the world championship level, but he's kind of like in the mid guard like right now, just helping other people out. So I really enjoy his work. He's got a safe finisher. Not really. That finisher is gonna hurt you one day.
Yeah.
If you don't know, he jumps off the top rope and just jumps like almost like right out your stomach. Hopefully he rolls right off. But yeah, I'll say currently he's my favorite to watch, and I'm hoping for him to be in the world title soon enough.
Hell yeah, Sensei, who's your current favorite?
Well, I'll say that Finn needs to bring back the demon. I'm just saying. I mean, that gimmick was awesome. But currently, I mean, I've became a big Penta fan. Just his few matches.
It's really good.
The things he does.
It's super entertaining. Yeah. Hell yeah. My current favorite, and this is a cliche, but I don't care. It's just Roman Reigns. I think he's playing the heel role better than anybody I've ever seen play it in decades. And I think my favorite thing about him is his aura and his acting ability. He's a very good actor. So when they're doing the promos and when they're having the backstage interactions, I think he does that stuff better than anybody else. So,
Have you ever seen the promo of him like in NXT as Leiki?
No, I don't think so.
Leiki. Yeah, it's like his earlier promo stuff. It's some really bad stuff, but like he says how humble like you should be in the beginning, like, and how good you can be.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Lit.
It's pretty rough.
Who's your current favorite?
So not as into it currently, but from what I've seen, mainly watching with Scott, is I gotta say Jey Uso, just because of him head kicking people like 100 times. I don't know, something about that stuck out to me. Where it's a lot of the Roman Reigns stuff, like he just literally they showed clips of him head kicking people like 30 times in a row, and I was like, this guy's a beast.
Hell yeah! All right, quick one. I want to ask everyone their all-time favorite, just the name, no description. Stormy, who's your all-time favorite wrestler?
Off the top of my head, The Undertaker.
Ooh, that's a good one. Sensei, how about you?
Sting.
Nice. Didn't expect that. Mine is The Rock. Deeb?
1 beer, 2 beers, Stone Cold, baby.
I love it. That's a good roster right there. That's a good 4 right there.
Yeah, Doug, you could put that up probably on a Mount Rushmore.
Hell yeah. Well, just very quickly, I'm just going to ask the two of you, Storm and Sensei, what would your dream WrestleMania match be if you could include anybody from current or from, past times? Storm, go ahead. Yeah.
First, be mine versus his all-time favorites, Undertaker versus Sting.
Ooh, okay. That'd be sick.
That would be a good one.
It never was that everyone asked for.
Mine's a tough. It's so tough because there's so many choices. But I mean, after seeing, and again, cliche, seeing Ray and Penta in Lucha Underground, bringing that to WrestleMania. I mean, I think that would steal the show. It wouldn't matter who the main event is.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sick. I would love that. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys. I know it's been a lot of questions. We're going to kind of move to another section that's going to be quite interactive. I'm going to have the two of you working together to build a tier list. It's something we've been doing a little bit more recently. And so I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what you guys come up with here. We've got a lot of really big names on this list. And so I think, Deeb, are you pulling? Yeah, I think he's going to pull that up.
Yeah.
Basically, the premise here, I want you guys to make a tier list over who would win a WrestleMania match. And so it's a lot of big names. It's going to be tough. We do have some rules here. You need at least one person in every row. I would say at least two in every row would be more realistic because there's a lot of names here. But it's going to be tough, and I'm really excited to see what you guys do with this because there's a lot of names on the screen. But Deeb, I'm going to let you take over and moderate this. And basically, you guys will just go back and forth selecting, and feel free to help each other out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and we did decide that you have to at least have one person in every category. So there's somebody that has going to have to be an F, or maybe multiple people. But the first one we have is Gold Dust.
My one question is this current? Like, if they were in a WrestleMania match, 41, this is what we think they would win or lose, or just
in their prime.
In their prime. Okay, that makes a difference, in my opinion. Because the first person like in the list, you see like that makes a big difference for currently or prime.
Yeah,
absolutely,
it does make a difference.
So I'll have Sensei. You can start with Gold Dust. We'll go back and forth.
And I will say with Gold Dust that I mean like Gold Dust and not the current character that he plays.
Yeah, Gold Dust. I mean, I liked him, especially the comedian aspect. But I'd say I don't think I could trust him into a guaranteed win. I'd go C.
Okay.
The other thing too is as we start adding people, you can put people to the left and they'll be higher up in that tier. Okay. So just keep that in mind. If you just let me know where you want them.
Yeah, ranks them in that order. I would have to agree. He would be like a bit of a comic match, a gimmick match. He definitely wouldn't mind putting somebody over, but it would be entertaining no matter what. He wouldn't need the win, so I think he would be fine. Like, he's like a tenured vet. So yeah, even in his prime, I'll give him a C.
Okay. So, Stormy, where do you put the Undertaker?
Come on, I just told you before, he's my favorite, so he's like S tier. He has the record of 21-1 or overall 21-5, 25-2. So yeah. So Undertaker's S tier. You can't really lose unless he's over in Saudi Arabia. Other than that, he's a solid pick.
And Sensei, I think you got Shawn Michaels next.
It's Mr. WrestleMania. I mean,
is he? I don't know. Like Roman Reigns I think should get that title nowadays.
Yeah, true. The original Mr. WrestleMania. It's going to be an entertaining match, no matter who it's against. And so many interviews, they talk about how easy he is to work with. I could see him being S, but I think to be safe, I could see A.
Okay. Right. Listen, I made this list intentionally challenging with some of these bigger names because I wanted you guys to sweat a little bit. And I think a lot of people out there will think that Shawn Michaels should be in the S tier. But if we're taking people at their prime, there's so many big names on this list that I don't hate the A. I'm really curious to see how this list turns out moving forward.
Okay.
And Stormy, you have, let me make sure I got the right person here. Becky Lynch.
I say I want to sure Deep Note that can name every wrestler on there.
I can name 80% of
them. Becky Lynch. To me, there's like two different eras of Becky, like post pregnancy and before. So I would say her prime was probably a bit like before she got pregnant, when she was have more muscle on her after she's a bit more skinnier. So she was doing really good stuff for a while. I would still think she hasn't done anything significant besides that triple threat with Ronda and Charlotte, and she was still pretty good. She's still like B A. I'll give her a B.
B.
Yeah. Like I don't know if I can just slowly trust her to win a WrestleMania sometimes. Like I think she's a solid hand, but she's usually like helping out Charlotte or pushing Charlotte.
I can definitely agree with that one. I mean, if you look at last year, she may have lost, but I mean, she was coming off being sick in Philadelphia in the cold and still performed again. She's going to be like Shawn Michaels. It's going to be a performance. It's going to be enjoyable. But is it going to be a guaranteed win? I think B is safe.
So where would you rank Charlotte Flair?
Ultimate rival.
F. No, I'm kidding. Honestly, she's good, and I mean, she's a top star.
Who's booking it?
Yeah, true. I can see A. I can see A for Charlotte.
Now, where do you want her, before or after Shawn Michaels?
After. All right. Sean's going to be that one that's right on the cusp of S and A. He's A plus.
Okay.
But yeah, I think A is comfortable for
her. Stormy, you have Edge.
Well, first I'll say I think you should move Shawn Michaels up to S right after Undertaker, but I think he's fine with that as a top tier A. But with Edge, Edge is really good. Like he himself had a streak going for a while, like 10, maybe 11-0, or not, no, but like like a while he was winning for a bit. It was notable. In his prime, rated R superstar, in my opinion. I even had that shirt as well. He was greatly respected right after Cena. Him and Cena's feuds. I'll give him an A, honestly, in my opinion. Like,
where do you want him in the A?
I would put him between. Oh, Charlotte has a lot of wins. I'll put him after Charlotte, unfortunately.
Okay, so third.
Yeah, I couldn't guarantee it, but I feel like 80% chance he would win. Like Charlotte, higher percent chance.
Charlotte wins damn near every time.
Yeah.
The man, the myth, John Cena. I don't know if you all can see him or not, but Sensei, where are you going to put John Cena?
I mean, if we're talking prime Cena, I mean he's got to be up there with Taker. I mean,
before or after?
After. Yeah.
All right.
This is where it gets fun, because I feel like there's going to be an argument for a lot of people being up there, but some of them are towards the end of the list here.
Is it Kofi Kingston?
Yep.
Correct.
Where do you rank him, Stormy?
All right. Prime Kofi, is that when he was Jamaican or is it African?
He's had a few gimmicks, hasn't he?
A little bit. It was so side rail a little bit. It was funny when he lost his accent and Triple H was like, "Hey, wait a minute, where's your accent go?" Medieval promo live on TV on Raw, but
so good.
Prime Kofi, in my opinion, will probably be his WrestleMania run. When New Day, Uso, everyone's pushing him to the moon, including the fans. But in terms of winning, he's more like a Mr. C. Above Goldust.
Above.
Yeah, I couldn't guarantee him. Like even in his even with that hype behind him, I love him. He's great, but I don't know if he has. I don't know if he would be booked to win.
Okay, that's fair. Sensei, you have, what do they call him now? The final boss, The Rock.
The final boss.
Oh, if it's the final boss, then F. If it's The Rock,
in his prime.
No, he won night one. The Rock, I would say, I don't see it being. I guess it could be S, but I don't know.
See, it's getting tough now.
Yeah, because you don't want to just stack S, and I don't think there's going to be anyone above Undertaker. Undertaker's locked in that spot. I could say put him above or put him ahead of Sean in A.
Number 1 in A.
Yeah.
Okay. Could cause some controversy. We'll see. Depending on who you ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even me, I'm still thinking about it. Like, is that where he should be?
That's fair. Stormy, what about Pat McAfee?
I've already watched probably every Pat McAfee match, which is not that many. If you don't know, like 8 total, I think. He actually was always been impressive to me. He's always been that guy like wouldn't expect it, but yeah, even as a punter, super athletic and doing those moonsaults and whatnot. But he would definitely be someone that would be losing a lot. Honestly, I think he wouldn't need the win, so I'm gonna give him an F.
Oh, okay.
Gotta have one on this list at least, right?
Yeah, that's you. I'm like, I gotta do that too. But like also he wouldn't like really need the win. He would be like kind of like you wouldn't expect the announcer to win, the punter to win. No, so he's kind of like a joke, and he's still like really respected in the sports world, but he would definitely wouldn't be mind taking a super kick and losing.
We'll have to clip that and send it to him, see what he has to say about that.
Oh shit.
Sensei, you got stuck with, sounds like one of your favorites, Rey Mysterio.
With Ray,
Booyaka, booyaka.
I can say I can put him in B behind Becky. Again, it's going to be an entertaining match, but I don't know. I with this list, it's safe bet to put him at B.
Okay. Stormy, you have Rhea Ripley.
Ooh, mommy.
Leah Hogan?
Rhea is really respected. She's like, I honestly thought she should have gone. Remind me, did she beat Charlotte that year, or I think Charlotte beat her, right?
She beat Charlotte, I think.
Mm-hmm.
She was Charlotte. All right, that's good.
It wasn't a hell of a match, honestly. Like one of the best matches I've seen on WrestleMania.
It really was. So, and she has such momentum behind her. She's still right now. She is in her prime right now. I'll put her in an A above Charlotte, and between Sean.
I think that's respectable.
She's really over in my opinion. Like in terms of merch sales, she's like right next to Cody. On number 2.
I think next is Shane McMahon.
Old Shane O'Mac. Honestly, I can safely put him. I can put him in F.
Prime? No. Prime. This is like him versus Steve Blackman, her Attitude Era. Not him versus like Miz, like a couple years ago.
Trill.
Also, his dad's booking.
Oh yeah.
You can't make that call.
Okay. Well, is he getting thrown through the glass?
It's Shane McMahon. He's definitely going to get thrown through something. Yeah.
Is it going to be the right kind of glass? Because I mean, Kurt Angle and him, they kind of
deep in that lip.
I have, yeah.
Oh my! And he like lands on his head.
Numerous times.
3 times. Yeah, it's bad. But yeah, I agree.
You want him in F?
I can say F, or I'd go C above Goldust.
Okay. It's about winning. Like, who would it be booked to win? Do you think you might win some?
I think that's a respectable spot for him. Could he? Yeah, I mean, these other people I could see being above him, even though he did have a really good run there for a bit.
Stormy, you've got the Miz.
Miz is goddamn awesome, in my opinion. I've been a fan of him since Real World, back from New York. He's always been wanting to be a wrestler, and I love that he actually got to do the dream. He's that guy that puts people over, honestly, more than ever, than anything. So I put him like top tier C. Like he is like top tier, like mid card guy. He's officially the worst WrestleMania with him in 2008 or him versus Cena, like in terms of records. But I still think he's very respected, and I will give him that. Good mid carder.
Okay, we got another icon here, Triple H.
Well, I mean, he has the most losses at WrestleMania. True. I'm not
still saying it 23 WrestleMania matches though. I think that's like second all time.
Yeah, I'm not saying
Rachel's pretty good.
I'd say
he's gonna win.
B above Ray.
B
above Ray.
Okay.
I think that's respectable with the current list that we have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, normally on a list like this, you would expect Triple H to be like an A, but there's so many other stars on this list that I think a B is respectable here.
Well, yeah, in just terms of wins, I think, yeah, like as you mentioned, him having the most losses definitely plays a factor into it. He would put somebody over.
Right.
Anyone above him, he would put over. Anyone below him, he would put over. He was that kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, the Rattlesnake.
Seriously, top tier. I love him when he was Kevin Owens, but him in his peak was, or prime was, even when he broke he was still wrestling after his broken neck. So he's still like S tier, but a little bit below Cena. So I'll put him as the third one.
All right.
All right.
What are
There you
overall
have it.
thoughts? Anything? We're locked in now, but anything you guys would change going back, or do you like it how it is?
Oh, we're locked in.
We're locked in.
I was gonna say, because if we're putting Stone Cold S, we gotta put the Rock S.
What?
I mean,
They're 1-1 at WrestleMania, right? I think they
I
tied
would-
at WrestleMania.
I would agree and put Shawn as up there as well, and put those as like the 5 in a row.
Here's what I would do. You guys might think I'm crazy, but I would put Shawn right after the Undertaker, and then leave everything else exactly how it is.
Ooh. Wow.
see, like we said, like this list. I mean, it's tough choice. It's hard to decide on who goes where.
Oh yeah, but I like the list overall. I don't have any grievances with it overall, and it's a tough list to create.
Especially
I like-
because I was gonna say, the ones that are in A, I mean, they all have an argument to be in S.
Yep. I would
mean,
say other than Edge, probably, in my opinion.
yeah.
Which Edge is still phenomenal. I just think some of these people are like their superstardom peaks were a little bit higher.
And what we can do is we'll post a picture of this so people can react to this, on socials, and we'll also post a link so you can go out and rank them yourselves if you want to prove these guys wrong and show them what the real tier list should look like if you think that they are wrong.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you guys for doing that. I know it can be challenging, but it is a lot of fun to do the tier list. And we've gotten some positive feedback from doing that before. So I know other people like to watch that along and then have their own thoughts and comments. And we certainly do get some comments sometimes when we post those tier lists. So we'll keep you guys posted if you want to be a part of that conversation as well. But Dee, what's next on the list?
So we're moving into the single barrel picks where you're going to talk through some of the matches and be challenged to make your picks for the weekend.
Yeah, and I think how I would like to do this, obviously there's a lot of them. I think there's 13 total matches that are already posted for the 2-night event. What I think we should do is I will name the match. We'll take turns each saying who we think will win, and then we can have just a brief, short discussion if there's anything notable we want to talk about. So we'll start with Saturday. The first one on my list here is Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Storm, who do you have winning that?
Both have put a lot of respect in terms of even having a WrestleMania match. They've had the storyline that builds towards it, and I enjoy it a lot. But I'm gonna go with Naomi. She's put a lot of work in, and especially I think she kind of deserves it. She's come back after being released, going to TNA, becoming champion, still wrestling. That's the best thing about people that get released is them still wrestling and not losing that fire. And she's had just a big fire on her the past year since coming back. And on promos, her everything has been next level. Her gear is top tier, like Bianca's. So I've been enjoying the storyline with them. I think Jade needs the win, but I think Naomi's going to get at it.
Okay. Sensei, what do you think?
I'm going with Jade, and it's only because I see a feud coming, which we'll go into a pick later. But I see it building.
I think I'm going to also choose Jade, and for the sole reason that I think that WWE is trying to build their next female superstar with her.
Mm-hmm.
And this is her first WrestleMania. And I think I agree with you, Storm, that Naomi she's more than deserving of having a WrestleMania win and a big moment. I think she might have a big moment and a loss this year.
Possibly, but I think Bianca will be the key factor in the big match right now. She might interfere somehow. There could be a little convincing mid match for her to also pull the boot or something like that of Jade or Naomi, either or. Either
Yeah.
way, it seems like Bianca's against Naomi and rooting for Jade.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Dee, I don't know. I know you're not really watching a lot currently. Do you want to do picks just for fun?
No, I'll just plead the fifth. I'm entertaining to listen to you guys and learn
Okay.
more.
All right. So this next one is very random and not something I expected on a WrestleMania card, but Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. Stormy, what do you got?
How did this? No. I've seen all the photos. He has legitimate legacy and whatnot. So, I never heard of Grand Americano, but the photos are any proof of his existence. I have to validate it. But with Rey Mysterio's current legacy, and versus Grand Americano, I'm gonna have to go with Grand Americano. I think I think he might do some dastardly things to win, but no matter what, I think it's gonna be an entertaining match. I think he needs the win more on a like an out of wrestling experience. I think he really needs it, even though we know it's Chad Gable, if not Chad Gable, but it's definitely very entertaining. I think at some point there might be a demasking.
I think so. Sorry, I know I'm cutting off our flow here. I would almost guarantee a demasking, if not a double demasking here.
No. Ray has been demasked in WCW, but I don't think it will happen again.
Yeah, that would be the only reason I could see it happening, is since it's happened before. But I definitely think that El Grande Americano will be demasked, and we'll see that it's Chad Gable. But Sensei, what do you think? Who's going to win?
Well, I'll say that the Rowdy Boys are not coming back. Ray's not taking the mask off again. No, I actually have El Grande Americano, and just because the whole storyline leading up to it not being Chad Gable, but Chad Gable was trying to get over his fear of the luchadors, and maybe it is Chad Gable, and this will be him getting over that hump.
Yeah, I think my initial thought was going to be Rey Mysterio like a week ago winning this match. But I think I agree with you guys. I think he'll be demasked and Chad Gable will win the match with some sort of underhanded technique.
Mhm.
That's really what this story has been building towards. And Rey Mysterio has no reason to win a WrestleMania match at this point in his career. Chad Gable needs a WrestleMania win. He deserves some sort of momentum. So I'm with you guys. A big one coming up. United States Championship. LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. Storm, who's winning that one?
Would be surprised if LA Knight leads with a championship with Jacob Fatu's momentum, his moveset, his explosiveness. It just seems like a dead set win on him. But I've been surprised before, unless there's something like an outside factor that plays into this. I see Fatu almost like as like a 90% chance of winning.
Yeah, Sensei, what do you think?
I'm the same way. I have Fatu, but like he said, unless for some reason Solo interferes. I mean,
Zillow.
Zilla showing up could be. I mean, no one sees it coming. People expect it, but no one's going to actually see it coming. But like I could see Solo kind of interfering because Jacob's getting that spotlight now.
I'm with you guys. Jacob's a new superstar. He will be a big deal in this company for decades. I think he's going to win this match. World Tag Team Championship. Men, we got the War Raiders versus the New Day. I'm going to be honest. I'm not excited at all for this match. Storm, what do you think? Who's going to win?
I gotta agree. Like, if you compare tag team divisions, this is the World Tag Team Division, which is Raw. They haven't been putting in the work compared to SmackDown. SmackDown, they brought in the Motor City Machine Guns and been really elevating those like 5 different tag teams. While Raw, no offense, has been really squandering. This should be like a pre-show match if they still have those. But I'm not really hyped for this one at all. I do respect both teams. The only thing that could really play a factor while they're on the main roster or even like main card is Big E. If Big E doesn't play a factor into this match in some way, it's a waste of a spot on the card. No offense to them, it should be pre-show or SmackDown. There's no longevity storyline building into this.
Yep. Sensei, thoughts?
You gotta go with the heel New Day. I mean, it gives them another title, kind of catch up to the Usos, stay on pace with them. But credit to the War Raiders, they are talented. I mean, for their size to be able to do what they do, which we're seeing more and more with even Fatu again, talent.
Yep. I'm gonna go New Day. I just think that they have more star power or more heat in this case to kind of gain. I just can't imagine this being an important match if they don't win, unless you said like if Big E comes, maybe. But we're gonna keep churning along here. WWE Women's Championship match. This one gained some unscripted heat recently. You guys got here Tiffany Stratton or Charlotte Flair?
Yeah, like you said, even with that little added little juice to it, I'm not too hyped for this match. Charlotte did win the Royal Rumble this year, begrudgingly, but I would still probably go with Tiffany retaining. It's Tiffany time, I think, right now. She has a lot of momentum, but she needs to get past this Charlotte, in my opinion, for a better storyline. It's just really just as a accolade to her, if anything, for her reign.
Sensei, what do you think?
I gotta go with Tiffany.
Yep.
I think it's too early for Charlotte's return to put a title on her.
I agree. Tiffy is the future of the company. She's a big win over a big name. Charlotte just came back a month ago. She doesn't deserve the championship at WrestleMania. She's won it so many times.
Mm-hmm.
All right, World Heavyweight Championship. This is a big one. We got Gunther versus Jey Uso. Storm, who do you got?
This is really tough. Another Royal Rumble winner, Jey Uso, getting a chance at the title, but I'm actually choosing Gunther to win this one. As much as I would love Jey Uso's momentum and everything has going for him, Gunther feels like the better choice. I don't know if this really was the ideal match, in my opinion, for Jey Uso at WrestleMania. I would love Jey Uso versus Roman at WrestleMania. That would have been the ideal dream match, besides what I said before. I think Gunther is going to be retaining it and leaving everybody unhappy.
All right, I like it. Sensei, what do you think?
I can see that happening, but I think with the promos that Jay's been given, I think it's there. It's time. It's time for him to have that nickname to come true. It's time for main event Jey Uso, and I think it's going to kind of be like Sammy winning the Intercontinental title. It's going to be the same kind of thing, kind of back and forth. Gunther starts beating down, and then gets the comeback, and I think Jay gets the pin.
Yep, I was going to say the same thing. I think Jay will win, and I think it will be very reminiscent of Sami Zayn last year. Gunther's been a champion for 80% of his time on the main roster. He even quoted that stat himself. It's time for him to step out of the way, to still remain a big star, but not to be in the championship kind of area for a while. Like we look at Drew McIntyre, he stays in the spotlight, but he hasn't been a champ in a while. I view that as Gunther after WrestleMania, and I don't think Jay will have a super long title reign, but I do think it's time for some fan service. He's very over with the crowd right now, so let's get him that championship.
Let's go.
And then triple threat match to main event the first night here. Not a championship match, but probably three of the top 5 biggest names in the company. You got Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. In the interest of time, just name and just a couple of quick thoughts. Storm, who do you got?
Gonna go with CM Punk. I think the momentum from Paul Heyman might play a factor into it, especially with Roman Reigns not being eye to eye with Roman Reigns lately.
Mm-hmm. Sensei, who do you got?
I got Punk setting up for some kind of match at SummerSlam.
Everything in me is telling me that they're going to have Punk win, but I'm going to choose Seth Rollins, and I think this might be where a big twist happens. I think him joining The Rock and John Cena could potentially happen this weekend, and might even include Paul Heyman. And so, because remember, Paul Heyman used to have the 2 cell phones, and one of them was for The Rock. That's long-term storytelling, so we'll see. But I'm going to go with Seth Rollins in this one, and we'll see what happens.
Good idea.
All right, night 2. Same thing. Let's just do name, quick couple of thoughts here. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. Storm, who do you got?
LP. I think he has a lot of momentum, and AJ doesn't really need the win. He's that 10-year veteran putting over the newbies, the greenhorns. So yeah, Logan Paul, easy.
Okay. Yeah, Sensei, what do you think?
Same thing, Logan Paul. I mean, I think this is going to be his big match, and he's finally not so much getting over. He's not going to be a face, but this is going to be his match to finally set his ground,
Okay.
basically.
I'm going to say Styles, although not confidently, just because of the Karrion Cross buildup to where Styles is protecting professional wrestling. And we'll see. I can agree that maybe this legitimizes Logan Paul if and when he wins. But I'm going to say
Mhm.
Styles at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Sin City Street Fight. I always love how they name the street fight after the city they're in. But it's Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. Storm, who do you got?
It's low on my radar, but it could be a really good match. But I'm gonna go with Drew McIntyre. He feels like he should be like world heavyweight contender like match. Like he should probably be in Jey Uso's spot. No offense to him, versus Gunther.
Yep.
But right now he's dealing with that great match, and it could be a little low key banger. So I'm going with Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, Sensei, what are your thoughts?
I still don't have a pick for this match. But if I had to pick one, I would go Priest. Just get, yeah, Drew deserves something, but Priest again, he has that momentum. And then he kind of died out. Kind of time to get him back going, because I mean he put on some good matches.
I will give Priest his flowers. He's done a great job over the past couple of years. But Drew has been a top 5 wrestler in the company for 5 years or for 2 years now at least. And I think it's time that he gets that big moment. And I think what actually will end up being a great match. So I'm going to go with Drew, but I can see it going either way. Intercontinental Championship. It's a 4-way match. We got Braun versus Dominic versus Penta versus Finn. Storm, who do you got?
This is the match where no matter who wins, with fans win. I'm happy with any choice. They're all like stars. Who do I think's gonna win? Gonna go with Dominic.
Okay.
Dominic. I think Dominic would add a lot of tension towards him and Finn Balor storyline.
Yeah.
A lot. So going forward after WrestleMania, be Finn versus Dominic, the splitting of the Judgment Day.
Yep. Sensei, what do you think?
Somehow Finn ends up on the ropes. Dom hits him with a 619 and gets the pin. So Dom wins.
Ooh.
And I also think Dom will win, but I think it's going to be Braun Breaker spearing Finn, and then Dom throwing Breaker out of the ring and pinning Finn to take advantage of the situation. Women's Tag Team Championship, we got another Judgment Day. Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Storm?
I don't think Bayley and Valkyria have enough history to warrant a win, so easy Judgment Day win. Liv and Raquel.
Sensei?
I'd like to see gold back on Bayley, but it's going to go to the Judgment Day.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a random match to give Bayley a WrestleMania match. The Judgment Day's winning this match. Their drama will be when Dominic pins Finn.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Women's World Championship. We got a triple threat match. Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, some of the biggest names in women's wrestling. Storm, who do you got?
I seriously love triple threats, what they can bring. But I'm actually... Am I going to say another? Yeah, I'm going to say another retention of a title. So I'm going to say Io Sky.
Ooh, okay.
Really big fan. I think, going after that, Rio versus Bianca will be the feud.
Okay. What do you think, Sensei?
I love Io. She's entertaining to watch. Like her stunts that she does. But I think Bianca wins this. And I think she does kind of play into the Jade and Naomi match. And it sets up a feud.
I'm going to agree with you there. I think Bianca will win. It's been a while since she's been a champion. Rhea has been on top for a long time, even when she didn't have the belt. And this is Io's second title run in 2 years. Mm-hmm. I think even though it's short-lived, I think Bianca walks out, maybe even with a heel turn here to fully commit to being a heel. And maybe her and Jade start their feud shortly after this then. But I agree. I think it's all leading towards Jade versus Bianca. Mm-hmm. All right, and the big one here, the biggest baby face in the company versus the former biggest baby face of all time. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. Stormy, it sounds like C for you to be thinking.
Yeah, I'm going to go with C Nation. It is crazy to think that will be the 17th championship, but yeah, I'm going to go with John Cena as winning this one. It took so long to go with the heel turn, but it could be a good time, man. Him as heel champion going into the next season will build a lot of momentum and interest for the company.
Yeah. Sensei, what do you think?
I got to go Cena. I mean, I like Cody as a champ and stuff, but I don't see them putting this match together and not letting Cena win it. I mean, it just makes sense. And like I said, I think this sets up a feud with him and Punk for SummerSlam.
Yep. So I agree. Cena's, I hope and think will win this. There is no bigger stage to break the record for titles. Let's get it done. Let's break Ric Flair's record. And like you said, him being a heel for the first time in 20 years sets up an opportunity for a lot of feuds that might not have been there previously. Cody's had a great run, but I'm also getting a little bit dull of his run too.
Yeah.
Cody was an amazing underdog, and he's been a good champion, but he was a better underdog story, in my opinion. Give Cena that belt and let him run it back with guys like Randy Orton, CM Punk, whoever else along the way. And I do think somehow that The Rock and probably Seth Rollins are a part of this match as well. There we go. And that's WrestleMania, but there is one thing. Randy Orton was supposed to have a match with Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens came on camera and said he's having a neck surgery and can't participate. What do you guys think is happening with this match? There's one fewer match on Sunday. Do you think Randy Orton will still have a match? And do you think Kevin Owens is actually hurt?
Yeah, I do think Owens is probably legitimately injured. In terms of a match, it's not uncommon in terms of night 1 versus night 2 for one night to be more stacked numerically more than the other. I think last year was 7-6. So I could see them keeping it the same, but if they do add a Randy Orton match, I would probably say I would like him versus Aldis, the SmackDown general manager, who's also a former NWA champion, but it seems like it's going to be him versus another deserving guy who deserves a WrestleMania match. Oh shit, I'm bad with the names. Solo Sikoa. It seems like based on the last SmackDown we still have one more SmackDown to go, but it's like Solo versus Randy.
I could see it. Sensei, any thoughts on that?
I could see him setting up Randy and Solo just to fill a match. And I think it would be a good match. As for Kevin Owens, unless they're really good actors, that segment was pretty convincing.
Yeah,
I mean, and
go ahead.
I was saying in the matches he had, I mean, he probably did suffer some injuries. I mean, that match with Sammy, the match with Cody.
But the match with Sammy was after he said he was injured. Surely you wouldn't do that kind of shit if you were already injured.
True.
He would.
True.
That wrestler.
I don't want to believe that he's actually hurt because I don't actually want. They're talking about him being out like a year and a half, and I don't want to believe that. I'm hoping this is some weird, like, swerve here, but I also don't think it makes any sense to do a swerve here. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But Randy Orton should have a match. I hope he does, and I don't care who it's against. I just hope he wins, whatever it is.
Yeah, I agree. I'm hoping there's something based on these segments they've given on SmackDown to the significance of even having one. I think there'll be something that will happen, even if it's just like an RKO and it's over.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be one of those random like celebrity things. Who knows?
Eric Ronan, and he'll beat the record of 6 seconds.
That's another thing. No Alexa Bliss, no Wyatt Sixth. I mean,
they haven't been on TV in a while, but we're hoping for maybe Raw After Mania.
Raw After Mania makes a lot of sense for them. I guess we'll see what happens.
I actually read a thing today about the Wyatt Six. I guess some of them were hurt. So, I mean,
Bo Dallas was hurt.
Yeah.
I know for sure he was. So, but he's cleared, and he has been for like 2 months now.
No, was it?
Just put him in the chair. It's fine.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to cap off with one of my favorite segments. It's a fan favorite. It's called the 2-minute warning. Makes a lot more sense when we talk about things like football or other sports. But basically, it's a rapid fire segment where I'm going to have Deeb ask you guys questions back and forth. And you'll take turns. So like Storm will answer one, and then Sensei will answer the second. You guys will go back and forth. And it's just kind of a series of this or that. And so go ahead and answer them. I think we've got like 8 questions prepared. So if we run out of time, that's fine. We don't have to go through them all. But it's intended to be kind of just a rapid fire segment where you answer questions. You can provide some very brief rationale if possible, but it's kind of intended to just get through the questions and see what you guys have to say off the top of your minds here. Okay. So I'm gonna share that screen here up on the screen, and then Deep's gonna ask you guys some questions. And it's usually a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoy this one.
All right, first question we'll go with for Stormy.
And time.
All right. Walk down the ramp with fireworks and a live band intro, or enter with a dramatic surprise return pop and the crowd exploding.
In terms of being memorable, I want the surprise pop, a surprise return with the pop.
Sensei, would you rather watch WrestleMania live from the front row at ringside or watch it with your friends on a huge screen at home with snacks and nonstop commentary?
I have to go watch it live in front row.
That's definitely commendable. Stormy, be part of the Undertaker's entrance at WrestleMania or be featured in the Wild Hardy Boys style ladder match?
Well, because it says Hardy Boys style, doesn't mean it includes the Hardy Boys. I'm gonna go with the Undertaker's entrance. I'll just be a druid.
That would also be iconic. Both of those would be cool. Sensei, share a tag match with The Rock in his prime or go one-on-one with Stone Cold?
You know what? Give me Stone Cold.
Yeah.
Smashing some beers on his head?
Exactly.
Stormy, would you rather share eat a WrestleMania Champions dinner backstage with Triple H and legends, or hit the after party with current superstars like Rhea Ripley and Seth Rollins?
I want to hit the after party, of course. I don't really have to worry about food. I don't want to worry about having a good time. So, after party with Rhea and Seth.
Sensei, would you rather hold the record for the longest win streak at WrestleMania like The Undertaker, or be the first to main event WrestleMania 5 years in a row?
I do the 5 years in a row.
And lastly, choose your walkout gear: gold-plated pyro coat like Ric Flair, or full blackout trench coat like The Undertaker. Stormy,
Light taker.
hell
Trench
yeah.
coat.
That is the 2-minute warning, fellas.
Hell yeah. So, Deeb, what's next?
So, last and not least, the last call, which, just like at the bar, we're kicking everybody out. It's time to go, and it's time for the last words that you want to leave people with. So, how about Sensei, you start us off?
Well, I want to say thanks for having me on. It's awesome, especially because we get to talk about things that we enjoy. And it's just like you said with the other shows. I mean, you do all kinds of sports, so I mean, this is a big weekend coming up for a lot of people. So, again, thanks for having me, and yeah.
Yep, thank you. And Stormy?
Again, for thank you for bringing me onto this podcast. I love wrestling and be able to talk about it with Sensei, Deeb, and Scott. But ultimately, I'm looking forward to a good weekend, entertaining, and hopefully see John Cena walk out with the title.
Let's go.
His time is up, but his time is not. His time is now.
And Scott?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to shout out my baby, Parker. His birthday is Sunday. So WrestleMania weekend is a big deal in this household. It's also Easter, so there's a lot going on this weekend in the household. But I want to thank, Stormy and Sensei for coming on here. Obviously, I love talking WWE. I love theory crafting. And I like doing things that are different. We haven't really done a ton of this content on this podcast yet. And so hopefully it hits. I hope people enjoy it. But I know I've had a lot of fun with the two of you and Deeb tonight. So, thank you as always. And thanks to everyone who listens in. I hope you participate on the socials because I want to hear what you guys have to say too.
And lastly, I'll say thank you to both of you and Scott for setting this up. I think I learned a ton. I know, Scott, you learned a ton last week when we did the Masters. So I learned a lot. It gave me some nostalgia from, the days where I was very involved with wrestling. And I have to say, I feel like I have to watch a little bit of WrestleMania this weekend now. So I think you guys have convinced me at least to check it out and see what it's about.
Hell yeah.
Well, with that, everybody have a great week, and we will see you next time.